Could the best defender in Scottish football be on his way out of the league as Cameron Carter-Vickers' interest puts Celtic on alert as West Ham are one of three clubs in transfer demand? Well, back to the channel, and Cameron Carter-Vickers is a guy I will highly praise. He came into Scottish football, under Ange, initially on loan, then they signed him, and you know what? You'd be delusional to say this guy ain't the best centre-back in the league. You would be. You absolutely would be. Now, yeah, has he had the best season this season? No, I'll be honest. I think I wouldn't say he's been second fiddle to Scales, but injuries have really hampered this season. He's been on and off. But he is overall the best centre-back in the league. And he's wanted by West Ham, Nottingham Forest and Brentford. And of course, that is a Premier League trio. And they've been monitoring the Celtic defender throughout this season. A source close to the US Internationals confirmed to Record Sport. I'm honestly surprised that Tottenham didn't include some form of buyback clause. Now, obviously, if Ange could read the future in a crystal ball, he'd have went, well, if I'm going to Tottenham in a few seasons, I'll include a wee cheeky buyback clause and I'll buy him. But obviously, that's not happening because Tottenham aren't interested. West Ham currently sit top 6 in the Premier League. Forest, of course, made that video yesterday. It looks like they could be getting a points deduction, or I say it looks like. It pretty much is. It's more a question of how many points are they going to get took off them. It could be a proper relegation fight for them. And then, of course, you've got the likes of Brentford as well. But I think the key thing here is Nottingham Forest, because you see that Scott McKenna, right, and Joe Worrell, it looks like Forest want rid of their centre-backs. Could there potentially be a deal here where Nottingham Forest bid 6 million? Well, maybe not, but they need to bid 6 million, offer 5 million in Scott McKenna for Carter Vickers. Is that a good deal for Celtic? Personally, no, I don't think it is, because he's the best defender in the league. I think he's worth more than the amount of money Celtic paid for him. I mean, they paid 6 million from him from Tottenham. Now, of course, he still has 2.5 years left to run on a deal he signed in June 2022 after spending the previous season on loan, like I touched on earlier. But it's one of those ones where, he's 26 years old, I believe. He's not young, but he's not old, and the centre-back position is just one of those positions where it's a weird one. I think for a player to go for a lot of money in Scottish football, you have to be an attacker or you have to be young to go for money, for me. Or maybe a goalkeeper. We've seen Craig Gordon go for a lot of money back in the day, and that was ages ago. But you see Tierney, 25 million. You look up front, the goal scorers. I mean, that's, proven goal scorers are hard to come by in football, and they're just more likely to go for more money. That's just the reality of it. Attacking players are more pleasing on the eye, so to speak. I think 6 million for Carter Vickers as a bid. It's not insulting, because at the end of the day, that's what Celtic paid Tottenham for him, but I think he's improved since then, getting proper game time, Champions League experience under his belt, even if he did cost him against Lazio. Oh yeah. But I think about 10 million would probably be fair for Carter Vickers. Now, here, see if he was putting these performances in the Premier League, where it's hyperinflation down there. Have you ever learned about hyperinflation? That's what it's like in England. You could probably, Tottenham, you'd probably be able to sell Carter Vickers, right, for 40 million. And before people go, well, that's ridiculous, because Tottenham sold him for 6. Yeah, but he barely fucking played in the Premier League or for Tottenham. I'm saying if this guy was, if he'd shown the levels that he's shown for Celtic at a Tottenham, just the fact it's a Premier League, his money would go through the roof. That's when you look at him. I mean, if Harry Maguire's worth 80 odd million, Carter Vickers is worth a bit of dosh, is what I'm saying. But then again, Harry Maguire sometimes makes Shane Duffy look like the best defender the world has ever seen. So we'll have to wait and see for this. Who thinks the most likely option for him to go to? I mean, you're out of the three of them, you would want to go to West Ham. Then it would be Brentford, then it would be Forest. Yes, Nottingham Forest have got the history and all that, but I mean, there'll probably be history. If we're being honest, it looks like they could be getting relegated. And of course, Brentford have already signed Chris Adger for Celtic a few seasons ago, which was for 13.5 million. So there you go. I mean, Adger, who I rate it, but for me, Carter Vickers is well clear. But David Moyes' Hammers are pushing for a European spot, and with interest growing in their Morocco international, Naif Igard are keen to bolster their back line. Similarly, Brentford, though, Because goes on to mention about Adger. Maybe they'll want him, but Forest though, I think, because Forest are a complete unknown, there's just numerous reasons, why you wouldn't want to go to Forest. You could end up going to Forest and they get pumped with charges into oblivion. But then if they're like Manchester City, you could just pay the AFA off. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, guys, Carter Vickers potentially on his way to Celtic. What do you think, Celtic fans? How much would it take to get the big man out of the East End?